Hello and welcome to the Coffee and Hustle podcast. In this episode, we're discussing how to stand out in the food industry. I'm Nicole with Design by Carla, and joining me on this podcast is Dea Noble, the owner of Noble Chefs, and Carla of Design by Carla.
I'm going to be the sidekick today.
Alan, thank you so much for joining us. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Yes, so I am Chef Dea Noble. I'm the owner and founder of Noble Chefs. So I am born and raised here in Huntsville, Alabama. Noble Chefs is a 3-year-old organization. It started as a brainchild as I was sitting in my former mentor, Ron Childers, who's gone on to be with the Lord, his office. And he was like, hey, we should call your business Noble Chefs. And I was like, I hate that name. And he was like, well, it encompasses everything you are, in your last name, it's a perfect name for your business, And so at the time I was considering offering private dining, intimate dining, and catering services. So I got with a graphic artist. I had to see it visually. I loved the way it looked. And so here we are 3 years later with Noble Chefs.
Yay, that is awesome. I personally love Noble Chefs. When you first told me that that was the name of your business, I was like, that's amazing. I love it. So I'm really proud of you. So as of 2019, I know you have committed yourself full time to your business. Congratulations. How did it feel?
It felt amazing. December 11th marked my last day at the Space and Rocket Center. So prior to me now, entering full-time entrepreneurship, I was the sous chef of the catering division here in Huntsville at the Space and Rocket Center. And so, we've had the opportunity and the pleasure to work with each other a few times. And, it was something just in the making for a while. Mm-hmm. And so once that day came, it was just like this day of celebration, like this personal celebration, because not many people knew that, that it was my last day, except, my superiors and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. But it was just really exciting. And I was really welcoming the opportunity to now discover what Noble Chefs could be.
So how does it feel to be a real, even though you were a business owner, but it was part-time for you, how does it feel now that you're a full-time entrepreneur? What does that feel like for you?
It feels amazing. I have to say, of course, this first year, and I'm sure that's probably going to be discussed later here in this podcast, this first year has definitely been interesting. But, it has its ebbs and flows due to what we're currently facing in the world's lockdown. But I have to say, I am excited that it happened in my first year because I haven't married any methods yet. I haven't gotten too accustomed to one way of doing things to where I couldn't adjust and pivot.
Wow, that is a really great way of seeing things, because I think for me personally, I would have been like, oh my gosh. But, your mentality and the way that you're really tackling this year and how you're seeing it play out is honestly a beautiful representation of why you were destined to be an entrepreneur.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Nicole.
I think that too, sometimes starting out with a challenge, really you can, now where you can fit and mold and change your business very quickly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's because a pivot was needed for our survival. Mm-hmm. It was one of those things of like, of course, for a few days I was like, what am I going to do? Mm-hmm. God, I definitely feel like I was led this year to enter full-time entrepreneurship and grow the business. I had just agreed to a large lease with my kitchen and some other things. And I was like, you know what? I know I did not come out here to drown. Let's say if I was in a body of water, it's just like, I know I didn't come out here to drown. And so the thing is, we're not only are we going to tread water, we're going to swim. And that's what has been able to happen this first year. And so, I think it's all about perspective and how you look at this opportunity that's before us.
And I think that when you're an entrepreneur and a business owner, because back then we didn't call it entrepreneurship. We
Right.
called it a business owner, or, hey, are you starting a business? Are you taking the leap of faith? I think that's basically what they always say. Are you starting this? Because, it was not something normal that we normally did back then. We didn't call it that. But to know the fact that you own that title now, and now you can pivot with changes, you can kind of figure out the do's and don'ts of where you want to be at. Not that you don't always have to change here and there, but
right.
It's good to know that.
But in essence, right, it's just you're only going to go up from here, right?
Thank you. Well, that's definitely the plan, and that's ideal. Of course, this year has had ebbs and flows, but I mean, we welcomed them on. I don't feel like there's a challenge that's too hard, and I don't know if and it's not of cockiness, but it's just out of my faith in the God that I serve, that He wouldn't put more on me than I could bear. And so it's just like, well, welcome the challenge, and if we don't have the answer, we will find it out in the midst of the issue.
And sometimes just having that quiet moment of just that space where you take technology out of it and have a moment of just that focus, you'll find the answer.
Right. Because it's just you and your vision.
Absolutely.
Right. And of that quiet moment, I took 2 days to myself, because when it first happened, and it's like, okay, this will pass really quickly, business as usual. And then as I start receiving the calls of, hey, we're going to postpone went to cancellations, and it went to change, record-breaking months, which May was going to be our first full wedding season and the month of wedding season, and it was going to be record-breaking for Noble Chefs with some of the things that we had on the books. To see those things kind of vanish or, also be altered, it was like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? And so at that moment, you're grasping for straws. It's like you're just trying to put out fires as an entrepreneur. And so I was like, oh, well, you know what? We'll start a YouTube page and we'll make recipes and videos available. And it's like, well, you don't have enough followers really to monetize that yet, so I wouldn't count on that. And so I was like, oh, well, we'll create lunches that, parents could buy. And, so they don't have another thing as they become these stay-at-home moms and teachers and, all of these things, they could purchase, a lunch service. Then it's like, well, how many people really have the disposable income to do so?
Right.
And so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to take a few days away from the business, away from the office, away from the kitchen. And it was like 2 days, and I just, allowed myself the opportunity to lay in bed or, watch a movie. And as I woke up one day, I just felt impressed, and I heard the word curbside. It's like, okay, what does that mean? And it was like curbside services. I was like, okay, I got that more clearly. Let me make a few calls to some industry friends and see how their curbside is going, how their to-go orders are going. And everyone called, they were like experiencing an increase in an influx of business. Wow. So I was like, you know what? Curbside it is. Curbside it is.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about the support that you received during this time? Because I know from firsthand, seeing it, you had an outpouring of support at your first day.
Like, the community is amazing. Like, Huntsville, Alabama, and surrounding areas, I'm extremely grateful for them. Like you said, it was this outpouring of support. It seems like if I could get a community hug, that's what we received. Like, I don't know if you've ever played sports, anything like that, and after the game, you kind of come in for this huddle and this big hug and almost this sigh of relief. Like, I felt like that's what our community and our surrounding areas came together to do for Noble Chefs. It was this big, warm embrace and just this positivity release and so many messages of affirmation and encouragement. And like I said, Huntsville, we owe you one. We greatly appreciate you.
Yeah, sometimes you feel like you're holding your breath and then realizing that you really did have the support you needed. And that just really says volumes about not only just your food, but your personality, right, and how warm and welcoming you are as as a human being. And I think that speaks volume when you're owning a business. You know, you have to represent not only the food, but the person that's behind that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because I feel like people do business with people. You can provide a great service. You can be the best at what you do. But if you have a horrible attitude, you will soon lose business, you know? And so I feel like, one, being a Huntsvillian, I'm at a great time, an opportune time as the food market grow in Huntsville, and to know that, like, hey, this is not in a cocky way, but hey, this is my city, as in I take ownership in the city because this is where I was born and raised. And so before, like, a lot of outsiders come here, I'm definitely going to make sure our presence is felt and known, and that we do what Huntsvillians want and what they appreciate, you know.
Do you feel like that because of who you are and where you're from, do you feel like there's a point in time where you're going to be able to be an inspiration to younger generations that need guidance in what you do, not just as a business owner, but as a chef as well?
Mm-hmm.
That is the goal. If you could inspire one, right? You know, and I know that might sound a little cliche, but if you really could, if you can inspire at least one human being on this planet while you're living. But of course, Noble Chefs, I would love to start a mentorship program down the line. I do have a mentee right now that I pour into. He's doing phenomenal. But, you know, eventually, whether it's a class or school of training, but I think after Noble Chefs, after I've hit that place where I no longer want to do 12, 16-hour days, and, you know, I have a family of my own, and, you know, and maybe Noble Chefs is now passed down to a family member or sold to someone who's passionate about food, I do intend to teach. So I do want to inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs, chefs, things of that nature.
So aside of inspiring, if you can, with everything that you've been through as an entrepreneur, a food lover, and a chef, what advice would you give to, you know, young aspiring chefs, especially during this time right now?
To young inspiring chefs during this time, one, find your voice. With social media and a lot of things, it's easy to see the things that are trending. It's easy to want to be a part of a wave and a movement, but I feel like if you are jumping on a movement while it's happening, you're already behind the game. You're already behind the curve. And so I think do things that are authentic to who you are. And I think that's why curbside services for Noble Chefs was so successful with the first wave of COVID. It was because it was something that was authentic to us. And it spoke to our voice, and it allowed us to kind of sing our solo. And so, one, I would say find your voice, and then two, I would say be flexible. I was told by a mentor that, you know, hey, Alan, I do not worry about you having a plan A, B, and even a C. But I worry about you sometimes going with plan A and feeling like that's enough to get started. And B and C will arrive while you are working. And so I will say that, you know, get started. Once you've calculated the cost, once you have gotten the green light from the Holy Spirit and you feel like this is a God thing for you, I would say get started. And plan B and C, maybe B2, all of that will come while you're working.
That's amazing advice. Now, you have made so many delicious dishes that both Carla and I have had the pleasure of definitely tasting. You're very experienced with different cuisines, but you have to have a favorite, right? So what is your favorite dish and to make, and why?
Wow, that is a very good question, because constantly as a chef, you're being asked, what is your signature dish, right? And I really always say, I don't have a signature yet. And I've been commissioned to discover what that signature is. So I'm going to give you two answers. First off, I will say Noble Chefs, our voice, as I was mentioning earlier, it's about sweet and savory and being complex. in a way that is not overwhelmingly complex. So we like to take things that are traditionally sweet and make them savory, or things that are traditionally savory and make them sweet. So whether it's a bread pudding that's traditionally a Southern staple for dessert, we might use jalapeno cheddar bread, integrate some turkey bacon, some more jalapeno, some more sharp cheddar, bake that off in a delicious custard with garlic and red onions and thyme and rosemary, and then pair that with a raspberry compote. So now you almost have this quiche-like bread pudding that is great for breakfast. Or taking a dessert that is like as classic as a banana foster and adding red pepper and a little chili and once again a little rosemary, and now you're having these savory notes to a nice flambé dessert. So that would be one. And then I will say the dish that a lot of people have been requesting here lately as I do private dinners, because private dinners have really amped up during COVID. Like, so we've gotten through curbside services. We concluded them in early July. Mm-hmm. And so now people are definitely still not feeling comfortable with going to restaurants. So a client of mine really loved Southern food. She was like, my husband loves catfish, but I don't want catfish for this private dining experience, but he loves it. If you can find a way to integrate it. I said, hey, say no more.
Wow.
And so what we created was a corn and scallion, or a scallion corn cake. So that's another more than like cornbread with green onions and shaved corn. And then we do a blackened catfish fillet. And atop that is a spicy remoulade. And then here is like a plate on a kale chip. We do a collard green chip. So it's like an ode to all things Southern. Cornbread, catfish, and greens, right? And so that has become one of our popular dishes as of late.
Listen, you had me at cornbread. You had me at jalapeno.
I don't know if you heard any of it, but we
were making faces.
Our
over
stomachs are growling right now.
We want some food right now. You're like ready for us to come cook for us right now, Alan.
Yeah.
Anytime, go to nobleships.com, make a reservation, and we'll show up and make that happen.
I just want the cornbread.
I want to taste test all of it. I'm just going to pull up.
Yeah. Curbside for us.
Curbside for Design by Carla, please.
Listen, just pull up. You're welcome. We'll do it for the culture.
We should come over and let you cook for us. Like,
yes, absolutely.
Personal cook time.
He's so excited.
Yeah, and I've actually watched some of your videos, like some of your cook time videos on FaceTime. Have you got those? Are you got any of those scheduled coming up at any time?
So actually, I am in the works with a videographer with maybe releasing like 1 minute snippet videos. Well, what is my favorite food pairing? Which is like, or not food pairing, but flavor profile. Mm-hmm. So I love rosemary, garlic, and thyme together. And so this is like an exclusive for y'all. So like, I love rosemary, garlic, and thyme together.
Exclusive.
And you can probably find those three elements in a lot of my dishes. So maybe sharing that and why is that, or a snippet of like where to cut asparagus. Like as simple as asparagus is to prepare, some people feel like it's just not that simple. And then also, where do I cut this woody end off?
It's not. You taught me. I don't think you realize that, Alan. Actually, you taught me how to cook asparagus because I asked you one day. I said, Alan, oh my God, it was like your lemon butter garlic asparagus. I was like, Alan, this is the best thing ever. And I was like, how did you do this? And you're like, oh, just do this A, B, C, and D. And ever since then, I follow that to a T. And I will never do asparagus any other way. I promise you taught me how to cook asparagus.
Well, and you have a perfect memory because that is the exact menu description. So I'm glad I could do that. That is already working.
Well, that's good. I think a lot of people cook asparagus almost too flimsy too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The thing is, no one likes overcooked asparagus.
Exactly. Who wants the sogginess of asparagus?
Yeah, and so, it's al dente. What is al dente? That means to the tooth. So that means it has a little bite to it, a little crunch, and things of that nature. So just some of these tips that a lot of times can be Googled now and things of that nature. But I think those tips are missing the Noble Chef's flair and our personality, like you mentioned. Like, Noble Chefs has really come synonymous with me, the owner, Alan Noble. So just the personality, just also taking away the stigma that cooking has to be hard. It's really enjoyable. And a lot of times, especially here in the South, that's the way of showing love. You usually gift them with food. I don't know how many times it's like, hey, make me a red velvet cake for my birthday and I'm fine. So what's better way to show people that you love them and things of that nature?
Right. The best memories happen around the table, the dinner table,
the
right?
kitchen.
Right. Best discussions
And
too.
You can have the biggest living room, but everybody goes to the kitchen.
Listen, like there's some also, so that piggybacks of, there is a concept, and I think me and Nicole maybe have discussed it in the past. I do want to release a concept here called dinner and conversation. And so, because I feel like food allows people to come together that might not necessarily be in the same room, right? And so just allow us to have a dinner, prepare something, whether it's our asparagus or maybe the cornbread that you mentioned, and just have a conversation about things of life, whether it's politics, religion, relationship, finances, and just have those conversations as we prep something that's not very difficult to prep, and then at the table and enjoy it. And so there's so many things, so many concepts that I would love to birth. And so I'm in the midst of praying for a team, a stable team that could come aboard and help see some of these visions come to manifestation. And but that's definitely one of the things that we want to do. I want Noble Chefs to just be a brand of all things food, whether it's chef apparel or magazines or cookware or 1-minute videos about how to make asparagus.
I think it's genius. I think that that you come up with new and creative ways of moving your business in different directions. You're not your standard, run-of-the-mill chef. And so I think that is something that brings out your creativity.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that because my goal is to be financially free, right? I mean, most people, when you get a job, whether it's a trade, you go through, academia after high school, and you get degrees or multiple degrees. You usually do that to solidify some kind of comfort and some standard of living, right? But I realize as a chef, I cannot be a multimillionaire and show up at every function.
Yes.
Or I will be too tired to enjoy the fruits of our labor.
Yes.
And so, what else can we do? Because I've been told that most millionaires have at least 5 to 7 streams of income. And so, of course, I want to be a legacy brand to where I can pass it down to my children, whether it's, like I said previously, if I sell it to someone else, another food enthusiast. But I want this to continue to make revenue for my future offspring.
So that's an incredible, I think that's incredible highlights that we can all dream of, you know what I mean? Is moving our business in the direction that we can leave it with someone else and they have exactly what their vision, your vision and everybody's visions match, you know what I mean? So it's time for rapid fire. Is there anything that you need to know that you want to share with your audience right now that we need to know about you right now?
Well, yes. So I will say, stay tuned for a marketing campaign and some releasing of our private dining experiences as well as our intimate dining experiences. They start at $2.99 with additional fees of a 4-course dinner. So whether that's starting off with that blackened catfish dish that we talked about, or lobster ravioli, to a salad, to whether it's salmon with savory mashed sweet potatoes and balsamic grilled vegetables, and finishing it off with a white chocolate lemon cream cheesecake. Whatever that might be, whatever those 4 courses might be, we can get together and craft the perfect experience for you inside of your home. A lot of people don't feel comfortable yet with going to restaurants or different establishments. So let us bring the restaurant to you. And so we will be releasing those photos and marketing material, menus pretty soon. So I would just say stay abreast, and also follow us on Instagram at Noble Chefs, as well as like and subscribe to Noble Chefs on our Facebook page.
Yes, absolutely.
Love it.
So are you ready for your rapid fire?
Pew, pew.
Pew, pew. Like possibly can be.
Okay, so question number 1. What is the strangest thing you ever eaten?
Strangest thing I've ever eaten was eel.
What did it taste like? Snake?
It tastes like something
Chicken?
I had never tasted before. It was kind of slimy. It was just, I would rather have it in like a pot sticker than just having it like fresh.
Yes.
You had it fresh eel?
Yes, like it was cooked, but it was not in anything. It was just eel,
Like,
you know?
like sushi, kind of?
Yeah, yes.
If you can get yourself anything, what would you get?
I would get myself a dream home, but with the dream kitchen, like the ultimate kitchen.
The
like
ultimate kitchen.
all kitchen.
I can't even imagine what that would look like. So, all right. So what is the thing that you are most afraid of?
The thing I'm most afraid of is failure.
Failure.
Ooh.
Failure, not achieving what I know I feel like I can achieve and not maximizing my potential. Being someone that's like, I had so much potential but did not capitalize on that. I would say that's probably one of my greatest fears.
But you do know that failure sometimes can be good, right?
Right.
In some ways, failure, you learn a lot, right? In failure. So that's a strong word.
Yes, ma'am.
So what store do you shop at the most?
Okay. Being an entrepreneur, you learn to watch those coins. But, you know, I was working for someone else and I had, disposable income. Express is my favorite clothing store.
Oh my goodness. Fancy smancy. I don't even walk in there. I'm like, oh, nope. Can't get the pants.
Wow. You little smancy. If you were stranded on a tropical island, what 2 things would you want with you?
First, a companion. So hopefully I'm married by that time. So shout out Solo out here in this cuffing season coming. So companion.
Not cuffing season.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. So hopefully a companion and maybe a spear so I can try to catch some kind of fish or something.
How are you going to cook it? You don't have any matches. What would you do?
Jeez, can I sunbake it?
Not sunbake.
Not sunbake.
He's still gonna create authentic high-end cuisine, even when he's stranded on a tropical island with his soulmate.
Nice. I think she's gonna have to really like fish. She
She
better like fish.
She doesn't have a choice.
She's gonna swim off the island.
Right.
What was your favorite book growing up?
Oh, growing up.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't remember the title, but it was this book from a book fair. It was about a son and a mom, and it was like these different lullabies in it. And mom used to read that to me every night.
Oh, was it the one that had the nursery rhymes all in it?
Yes.
I used to have that book, and it was like a big book, right? Was it a big book that had all the nursery rhymes in it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know the name, but mom would sing, but also she would end every night with like a prayer, and she would sing "You Are My Sunshine."
Oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite songs.
Oh my god.
Really?
Yes. I used to sing that when I was a little kid. Like a little girl, I would walk around going, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes.
You make me happy.
That
The
is
skies are
The
gray.
sweetest thing ever.
I can't sing very well, but
I'm not crying. You're crying. Oh my
Yeah, I'm
goodness.
trying to hold my gangster over here.
Oh, sorry. Right.
Yeah.
We have to respect the gangster.
you want to sing it, don't you? Ellen? You know you want to sing it.
No. He's trying to hold himself together.
I'm holding it together, because I can be a little emotional, so I'm trying to hold it together.
I
We
love that
got
song.
you.
I love that song when I was a kid. I loved it. I still do today. I still sing that song every once in a while. It'll pop in my head and I'll start singing it. So I love that song. If you could swim, this is your last question, by the way. If you could swim in any liquid, what would it be and why?
Jeez. I guess now they say you found your fountain of youth. So maybe if it's this powerful water that has the opportunity and the ability to just restore my youth or something like that, I would swim in that.
Alan, How you gonna make up new liquid?
No joints, aches, no back pains, like the fountain of youth. That's what I was swimming in.
You are such a cheater. You can't make up your own liquid. How dare you?
Alan, my favorite, when somebody asked me that question, I said Jello.
Jello. Man, I feel like I was suffocating the Jello.
Well, I was going to eat it and swim, so then I would never have to go hungry.
So then you'll be on my 600-pound life.
I swim it off.
I love that show.
So that's our rapid fire. I hope you enjoyed that. And thank you for coming on our podcast. We enjoy you're just a wonderful person in person and on the phone and on the internet. And just, I really enjoy following you, and you have just grown in such a short amount of time. And I'm just so proud of you as a person and as a business owner. I totally respect that.
Yeah.
Well, first can't really express that, but I have to say thank you two ladies. Carla and Nicole, I've known you for quite some time now. Carla, you designed my website. Anyone in need of a website, I mean, you can't go wrong with these two ladies. You have given me so many marketing tips, so many nuggets that I know that you could charge, and you just throw those out for free for me to advance. And that's why, and me, you forever have a client. Because I feel like we built relationship, and I feel like as business owners and people leader of your crafts like you two are, you guys really hone in, and you value relationship and people connection. And so for that, I'm forever grateful. Like I said, for that, you always have a client in Noble Chefs.
Do you want to write a review for us on Google?
Absolutely do that.
Alan, stop. Now you gotta respect my gangsta, okay? Like,
no, that's so super sweet. I mean, I think that we're all about value. I think that's always something that we hope that all of our clients understand that. Mm-hmm. And we give out information because we want you to be successful just like anybody else. So
yeah, we truly 100% believe in you. And, I hope that you realize how much growth and potential that we see in you. And, we hug you and support you just at the end of the game. Always, we're always cheering for you. And I just hope you realize how amazing, your craft is, and that we don't give you these nuggets, and we're not just trying to develop websites and stuff for you just because you're a client, but really because we love you as a person.
Yeah, we think a lot about you. So you just keep doing you, keep doing and bringing out all these phenomenal dishes, because you're making us very hungry right now.
Right, I'm about to come pick you up.
We need some crumbs. Just leave us some crumbs on the plate. I'm just saying. But Alan, thank you so much. And thank you for coming on our podcast today. And today's podcast is how to stand out in the food industry. You definitely stand out. So thank you for joining us on Coffee and Hustle. I'm Carla.
And I'm Nicole.
And say goodbye, Alan, if you want.
Good one. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. I appreciate it.